So again, I don't think there are a predominantly large number of bad dates. There's a relatively small number of so-called bad dates.
Opposing question? It's a new question. Okay. It's booting up. We have too many irons in the fire here. There we go. Not being a biologist, I don't know if you can give an answer to this, but do you use disproven arguments for evolution, such as gill slits on the human embryo, which was proven wrong in 1874, the human embryo having a vestigial tailbone, which was proven wrong years ago, the horse having 4 toes, evolving into a one-toed horse, proven wrong in 1950 by G.G. Simpson? Do you use these type of arguments in your class as evidence for evolution? If you do, then I would wonder why you would use that when you certainly should know by now they've been proven wrong. If you don't use them, are you involved in any kind of effort to get them out of the textbooks? Because I would guarantee they're used in the textbooks on this campus. So what is your take on using disproven arguments to support evolution theory?
Actually, in my class, we spend quite a bit of time talking about this. And Kenneth Miller is probably the best source if you want to get into this. Kenneth Miller, along with Levine, has written several textbooks for high school. And he's a Christian. And what he does is he puts on his website footnotes, updates. He has one on Haeckel, because Haeckel's drawings, embryological drawings, have been discredited. He has a long discussion of Haeckel. And the errors in textbooks, we've heard a lot about the errors in textbooks. And science is not based on textbooks. So if you think of the people who are going to write a high school textbook, is it going to be a Nobel Prize laureate writing a textbook for high school? No, lots of errors show up in textbooks. They should be removed. But it's a big problem in science education. Getting competent people to write textbooks is very difficult. What often happens is they copy from each other. That's how the Haeckel drawings ended up in so many textbooks in the first place. It was known on the continent that the drawings were bad, but once they got into a textbook, they tended to get repeated and copied into other textbooks. So, of course, I don't want to use bad arguments, and I and my students go through a lot of these old arguments, and I don't see that as an issue.
Okay, I debated Kenneth Miller. I have quite a collection of all of his textbooks that he has written. In 1999, he was still using the gill slits on the human embryo as evidence for evolution. Are you saying that now on his website he has a note that indicates this is wrong? And in future editions of his textbooks he will not be using this as evidence for evolution?
I think you probably should check, yeah.
I hope so. Good. I debated him 6 months ago on the radio, and he still said that's one of the evidences for evolution.
Well, I would believe him before I'd believe you, frankly. He's a biologist.
So you think the human embryo had gill slits and that is evidence for evolution?
I would defer to him. He's a biologist.
And if I can demonstrate that this was proven wrong in 1874, and Haeckel, even they had a trial at his own university, University of Jena in Germany, and 6 professors convicted him of fraud. And every major biologist ever since then has said, look, this is not true. This should not be used as evidence for evolution, even though it does still persist in the textbooks.
I think you're confusing Haeckel with something quite different, but I'll leave that to you.
No, Ernst Haeckel from University of Jena in Germany, 1874. Yeah. Same guy. Oh, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Here's the drawings that Haeckel made, or Haeckel, however you pronounce his name. His drawings are still being used in 1999 at the University of West Florida.
But not by Miller. You said Miller was...
I showed you the 1999 Miller book.
Yeah, but not Haeckel's drawings.
Well, here are Haeckel's drawings. Look at the top row.
Yeah.
The gill slits on the embryo. Now let's go to Miller's drawings in his book. Right there. Identical drawings from Haeckel.
No.
They certainly are.
No, if you take a look at Miller's book, I mean, he has on a website a complete discussion of Haeckel's drawings,
okay,
what they support and what they don't support. And,
well,
take a look. Look for yourselves.
Oh, I taught biology. I understand this issue very clearly. Here is Richardson from St. George Hospital Medical School in London. 19th century drawings that still appear in reference books are badly misdrawn. Although Haeckel confessed to drawing from memory and was convicted of fraud at the University of Jena, his drawings still persist. That's the real mystery. On top are Haeckel's drawings. Underneath are photographs. Now, Haeckel's either an extremely lousy artist or he's a liar. Turns out he's a liar. He loved the evolution theory. He read Darwin's book a year after it came out. Those little folds of skin are not gill slits having taught biology, I happen to know, they are later develop into bones in the ear and glands in the throat. They never have anything to do with breathing. I've seen folks that have a lot of chins that can't breathe through any of them except the top one. Okay? And since Kenneth Miller is still using this in 1999 edition of his textbook, to say that you would defer to him would worry me because he would not be an accurate source. And in the debate I had with him 6 months ago, he was still using this as evidence for evolution. So he is just flat wrong, he's mistaken, or he's deliberately lying, because those are not gill slits. That is deceitful to give them as evidence for evolution. And this is in his Similarities of Organisms section, which is part of the chapter on evolution on page 223.
I urge you to take a look at his website, look at what he says about
I certainly will, because I hope he has.
Not you, them.
Oh, everybody should hear.
Oh, let's take some, I'd rather hear questions from y'all. Yeah.
Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to be gracious. Everybody wants to stretch their legs for a minute. Go right ahead. Then we're going to do question and answer. Let's not do the question and answer now. And instead of, like I said, a mad rush to the microphone, what we're going to do is we're going to pass out numbers. We have two identical twins that are going to do it to ease the confusion, okay? Let's give them a round of applause for their hard work. Okay. Now, those of you who have a question for Dr. Hovind, stand up, raise your hand, and they're going to give you a number. Just stand up so they can find you easier. If you have a question for Dr. Hovind, just one person? Come on, don't be shy. Okay, there's someone up top. Anyone else? Goes to Dr. Hofmann. They're going to randomly pick a number out of a hat. Not a hat, a folder, actually. Unbiased. He's not looking. Okay. Okay, whoever has question number 7 for Dr. Hofmann, the microphone's down here. And the first question for Dr. Hovind, so they can be ready. Maddie? We'll start with, just get the first 3 people. Okay, if you got a green, number 2, and next one for, okay, white, 8.
Dr. Hoffman, in your speech earlier you were saying that you would like people to submit articles to these periodicals and let the peers judge the evolutionary theories. I'm wondering if there's an inherent bias where all the scientists submitting evidence are all evolutionists, so you're having like the preacher preaching in the choir and the choir saying amen, that type of thing. Is there an issue there?
Well, solid scientific communities, of course, established some claims beyond point of discussion. And so from someone outside, it may appear to be somewhat dogmatic. But that only is accomplished through a long process of very strict criticism. My biochemist friend, when we talk about things like this, will say that, well, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. If someone wants to argue with geophysicists and geologists that the Earth is 6,000 years old instead of 4.5 billion years old, it's going to take extraordinary evidence. And you can't expect a paradigm that's that well established to be overthrown on the basis of, inconclusive evidence. The people who are working on this the hardest are people associated with the Creation Research Society and some with the Institute for Creation Research. They have a book that they just published, Radioisotopes and the Age of the Earth, in which they're trying to fund experiments which they think will push scientists in the direction of accepting a young Earth. But you can't expect that to happen quickly, considering that the evidence in support of an old Earth is accepted by scientists as so conclusive that it's going to take a radical change to revolutionize it.
Are articles by me?
Yes, I think there certainly is a bias against creationists. Evolution is a very carefully protected state religion. If a person stood up in the Soviet Union 10 years ago and said to his class in school, kids, I don't think communism works. I think capitalism is a much better system, he'd be shoveling snow in Siberia by the next week if he survived.